Soldier Field is a multi-purpose stadium on the near south side of Chicago, Illinois, United States. Opened in 1924 and reconstructed in 2003, the stadium has served as the home of the Chicago Bears of the National Football League, NFL, since 1971, as well as Chicago Fire FC of Major League Soccer, MLS, from 1998 to 2005 and since 2020, The stadium has a football capacity of 61,500, making it the smallest stadium in the NFL. Soldier Field is also the oldest stadium in both the NFL and MLS. The stadium's interior was rebuilt as part of a major renovation project in 2002, which modernized the facility but lowered its seating capacity, eventually causing it to be delisted as a National Historic Landmark in 2006. Soldier Field has served as the home venue for a number of other sports teams in its history, including the Chicago Cardinals of the NFL and University of Notre Dame football. It hosted the 1994 FIFA World Cup, the 1999 FIFA Women's World Cup, and multiple CONCACAF Gold Cup championships. In 1968, it hosted the inaugural World Games of the Special Olympics, as well as its second World Games in 1970. Other historic events have included large rallies with speeches, including by Amelia Earhart, Franklin D. Roosevelt, and Martin Luther King Jr. History. Sculpture of a sailor and his family, gazing eastward over Lake Michigan. On December 3, 1919, Chicago-based architectural firm Hullibird and Roche was chosen to design the Stadium 11, which broke ground on August 11, 1922. The stadium cost $13 million to construct, equivalent to $223 million in 2022, a large sum for a sporting venue at that time. In comparison, the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum had cost less than $1 million in 1923 dollars. On October 9, 1924, the 53rd anniversary of the Great Chicago Fire, the stadium was officially dedicated as Municipal Grant Park Stadium, although it had hosted a few events before then, including a field day for Chicago police officers on September 6, and the stadium's first football game, between Louisville Male High School and Austin Community Academy High School, on October 4. 11. On November 22, the stadium hosted its first college football game, in which Notre Dame defeated Northwestern University 13-6, 11. On November 11, 1925, the stadium's name was changed to Soldier Field, in dedication to U.S. soldiers who had died in combat during World War I. Its formal rededication as Soldier Field was held during the 29th annual playing of the Army-Navy game on November 27, 1926, 13-14, several months earlier. In June 1926, the stadium hosted several events during the 28th International Eucharistic Congress. The stadium's design is in the neoclassical style, with Doric columns rising above the east and west entrances. 15. In its earliest configuration, Soldier Field was capable of seating 74,280 spectators, and was in the shape of a U. Additional seating could be added along the interior field, upper promenades, and on the large, open field and terrace beyond the north end zone. 16. Bringing the seating capacity to over 100,000. 17. Chicago Bears move in. The 1961 Chicago Bears practicing for the Armed Forces exhibition game at Soldier Field. The team would later move into the stadium full-time in 1971. Before they moved into the stadium, the Chicago Bears had played select charity games at Soldier Field as early as 1926, when they played their former crosstown rivals, the Chicago Cardinals. 11. The Cardinals also used the stadium as their home field for their final season in the city in 1959. In 1971, the Bears moved into Soldier Field full-time, originally with a 3-year commitment. 18-19. The team previously played home games at Wrigley Field, the home stadium of the Chicago Cubs of Major League Baseball, MLB, but were forced to move to a larger venue due to post-AFL-NFL merger policies requiring that stadium capacities seat at least 50,000 spectators as well as lighting for potential night games. The Bears had initially intended to build a stadium in Arlington Heights, but the property did not fit the league's specifications. 20. On September 19, 1971, the Bears played their first home game at Soldier Field, in which they defeated the Pittsburgh Steelers 17-15. In 1978, the Bears and the Chicago Park District agreed to a 20-year lease and renovation of the stadium. Both parties pooled their resources for the renovation. 21. The playing surface was AstroTurf from 1971 until 1987, and was replaced with natural grass in 1988. 22. On February 27, 1987, Soldier Field was designated a National Historic Landmark. 23. Replacement talks. In 1989, Soldier Field's future was in jeopardy after a proposal was created for a McDome, which was intended to be a domed stadium for the Bears, but was rejected by the Illinois legislature in 1990. Because of this, Bears president Michael McCaskey considered relocation as a possible factor for a new stadium. The Bears had also purchased options in Hoffman Estates, Elk Grove Village and Aurora. In 1995, McCaskey announced that he and Northwest Indiana developers agreed to construction of an entertainment complex called Planet Park, which would also include a new stadium. However, the plan was rejected by the Lake County Council, and in 1998, then Chicago Mayor Richard M. Daley proposed that the Bears share Comiskey Park with the Chicago White Sox. 24. Renovations. Beginning in 1978, the plank seating was replaced by individual seats with backs and armrests. In 1982, a new press box, as well as 60 skyboxes, were added to the stadium, boosting its capacity to 66,030. In 1988, 56 more skyboxes were added, increasing capacity to 66,946. Capacity was slightly increased to 66,950 in 1992. By 1994, however, capacity was slightly reduced to 66,944. During the renovation, seating capacity was reduced to 55,701 by building a grandstand in the open end of the U-shape. This moved the field closer to both ends in order to move the fans closer to the field. At the expense of seating capacity. 13, the front row 50-yard line seats were only 55 feet, 17 meters, away from the sidelines, the shortest distance of all NFL stadiums until MetLife Stadium opened in 2010 with a distance of 46 feet, 14 m. Citation needed. 2002-03 Renovation and Landmark Delisting. Soldier Field Aerial View, 1988. Before interior redesign. In 2001, the Chicago Park District, which owns the structure, faced substantial criticism when it announced plans to alter the stadium with a design by Benjamin T. Wood and Carlos Zapata of Wood plus Zapata in Boston. The stadium grounds were reconfigured by local architecture firm Lohan Associate, led by architect Dirk Lohan, grandson of Ludwig Mies van der Rohe. The stadium's interior would be demolished and reconstructed while the exterior would be preserved in an example of facadism. A similar endeavor of constructing a new stadium within the confines of a historic stadium's exterior was done with Leipzig's Red Bull Arena, which similarly built a modern stadium while preserving the exterior of the original Zentralstadion. Fans and radio hosts, such as WSCR's Mike North, criticized the small seating capacity of the new venue, and others have criticized the Park District's lack of care to the field surface after the first seasonal freeze and a refusal to consider a new generation artificial surface, leaving the Bears to play on dead grass. On January 19, 2002, the night of the Bears' playoff loss to the Philadelphia Eagles, demolition began as tailgate fires still burned in trash cans in the parking lots. The removal of 24,000 stadium seats in 36 hours by Archer Seating Clearinghouse, a speed record never exceeded since, was the first step in building the new Soldier Field. Nostalgic Bears fans recalling the team's glory seasons, especially 1985, as well as some retired players, picked up their seats in the south parking lot. The foremen on the job were Grant Wedding, who installed the seats himself in 1979, and Mark Rechko, an executive for the factory who made the new seats. As Soldier Field underwent renovation, the Bears spent the 2002 NFL season playing their home games at Memorial Stadium at the University of Illinois. On September 29, 2003, the Bears played their first game at the renovated Soldier Field, in which they were defeated by the Green Bay Packers, 38-23. The total funding for the renovation cost $632 million. Taxpayers were responsible for $432 million, while the Chicago Bears and the NFL contributed $200 million, 26. Soldier Field after interior rebuild. Several writers and columnists attacked the Soldier Field renovation project as an aesthetic, political and financial nightmare. The project received mixed reviews within the architecture community, with criticism from civic and preservation groups. 27. Prominent architect and native Chicagoan Stanley Tigerman called it a fiasco. 28. Chicago Tribune architecture critic Blair Kamin dubbed it the eyesore on the lake shore. 29. 30. 31. While others called it monstrosity on the Midway or mistake by the lake. 32. The renovation was described by some as if a spaceship landed on the stadium. 33. 34. Lohan responded, "I would never say that Soldier Field is an architectural landmark. Nobody has copied it, nobody has learned from it. People like it for nostalgic reasons. They remember the games and parades and tractor pulls and veterans affairs they've seen there over the years. I wouldn't do this if it were the Parthenon. But this isn't the Parthenon." 28. Proponents of the renovation argued it was direly needed because of aging and cramped facilities. The New York Times named the renovated Soldier Field one of the 5 best new buildings of 2003. 35. Soldier Field was given an award in design excellence by the American Institute. On September 23, 2004, as a result of the renovation, a 10-member federal advisory committee unanimously recommended that Soldier Field be delisted as a National Historic Landmark. 37. 38. The recommendation to delist was prepared by Carol Algren, an architectural historian at the National Park Service's Midwest Regional Office in Omaha, Nebraska, who was quoted in Preservation Online stating, "If we had let this stand, I believe it would have lowered the standard of national historic landmarks throughout the country. If we want to keep the integrity of the program, let alone the landmarks, we really had no other recourse." The stadium lost the landmark designation on February 17, 2006. 39. Subsequent developments. Soldier Field in 2022 from the east. In May 2012, Soldier Field became the first NFL stadium to achieve LEED status, a program intended to award environmentally sustainable buildings. 40. On July 9, 2019, the Chicago Fire of Major League Soccer, MLS, announced an agreement with the Village of Bridgeview to release the team from their lease with SeatGeek Stadium, where they had played since 2006. As a result, the Fire returned to Soldier Field for the 2020 MLS season. 41. On June 17, 2021, the Chicago Bears submitted a bid for the Arlington Park racetrack property, making a move from Soldier Field to a new venue more possible. 42. On September 29, the Bears and Churchill Downs Incorporated announced that they had reached an agreement for the property. 43. On September 5, 2022, the Kentucky Bluegrass was replaced with Bermuda grass after poor field conditions were noted in an August 13 preseason game. 44. Public transportation. The closest Chicago Bell station to Soldier Field is the Roosevelt Station on the orange, green and red lines. The Chicago Transit Authority also operates the number 128 Soldier Field Express bus route to the stadium from Ogilvie Transportation Center and Union Station. There are also 2 Metra stations close by, the Museum Campus 11th Street Station on the Metra Electric Line, which also is used by South Shore Line trains, and 18th Street, which is only served by the Metra Electric Line. Pace also provides access from the northwest, west and southwest suburbs to the stadium with 4 express routes from Schaumburg, Lombard, Bolingbrook, Burr Ridge, Palos Heights and Oak.